Now that is amazing. We go from the amazing Luke Mason, Imminent Rain. What a fabulous piece that is. The third piece to his 10-part, musical telling of Prometheus Rising, and doing a fantastic job. Very, really just, artistic. Really just coming across in a way that is intriguing and really displaying all of the talents that he has in these pieces. I am eagerly awaiting every new piece that he puts together. And then jumping right over here to Full Null. What a turnaround that was. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know if any of this is working yet. If you all are here, I don't intend to be here long because I didn't intend to jump on in the first place. But so many people sent me messages saying, please say something during PWR. And there really wasn't a place for me to jump in, interestingly enough, because we're talking about politics, we're talking about these sort of things that I'm not Richard's personal situations. So can everybody hear me okay? Seth says the best PWR in a while, the one I spoke the least in. Well, appreciate your opinion. You got to know Richard a little better if you didn't know who he was. I guess there's few people who don't know who Richard is that are in the white positive sphere. I see Mark is over there on the gardening channel, says he can see this. Shauna is here. Hello, Mark. And who do we have over here? Mandy is here. The great Imminent Rain, Luke Mason himself, 41 BMC, Chad, Simon JJ, Red Pill, Brett Cooper. Great to see you all. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to jump on Traversing the Divide is here. I wanted to jump on briefly to say a big hello to 2020, this brand new decade, not just a brand new year. And I am exuberant. I am so excited. We just had the news, the great Jared George and myself, the other night about significant sized donations specifically earmarked for poor white little boys. And of course, doing that in this day and age is truly doing something, appreciating that this is has to be coming from a social circle where it would be acceptable, where this person would, or people would not be ostracized for all time. That means that there are others who are feeling this way. There's a great amount of information there that you might be overlooking if you just focus on the very superficial, hypocritical nature of the story, which is, well, they accept money that is earmarked for girls, they accept it that's earmarked for Jews, earmarked for this group, earmarked for that non-white group, and they won't accept it earmarked for poor white little boys. What hypocrites, what hypocrisy. Not hypocrisy at all. Go free this year. In 2020, if you haven't started, and you won't say such silly things as, what hypocrisy? It's only hypocrisy when you are first taking your tentative steps into the water. But once you get in deep enough, you will realize that there is no hypocrisy when it comes to anti-whites. Everything they do has one objective, and you'll realize that these folks are willing to take fervent contradictory positions to arrive at that goal. That is the case when you're dealing with malefactors. Go free. I made it an objective, and there was a couple big setbacks to have this available in electronic form. So on Kindle by the 1st of 2020, we made it happen, and it is now available, and it is at a special reduced price for the first 299 downloads. First 299 downloads are only $2.99. Make sure you get the Kindle version. The Kindle version, I understand, will be able to be updated. So as I create new iterations, which undoubtedly will happen over the course of the year, this second edition is iteration 1. There will be more iterations as we add more information, as some of you contribute your ideas during these streams. And those are ideas that will empower us. We will add that to the growing base of knowledge and help us all thereby go free and recapture our destiny this decade of the 2020s. Certainly, if you have not been able to purchase go free. If you haven't been able to acquire it because of where you might be, the price for a printed version, well, now there is no excuse. You have an electronic opportunity available to you. So that is how we are starting off 2020, ladies and gentlemen, making the ability to go free as easily accessed as possible. And I expect great things. And we're starting off 2020 with an amazing piece by an absolutely stunningly talented artist, Luke Mason, Imminent Rain. Make sure that we in this community in service to white well-being, we don't just receive a product, we don't receive a contribution, we don't receive from our participants and just say, wow, that's great, and then turn our backs as they do in other parts of the white positive sphere. We reach out, we pat these men and women on their backs in whatever way we can. If that means a donation, and his links will be available. Now, they're not going to be in the description, as is always the case since we received strikes for putting links in the description. Yes, I know that others get to put links in their description, and it's okay. I know that, but that is not the case for those who are helping us and our wider family to go free. So his links will be on my website, nowhiteguilt.org, as soon as I'm done here, and then I can upload all of that on my website, nowhiteguilt.org. My link is in the description to that website, so you'll be able to go right over there. You'll be able to find Luke's information under the audio version only for this piece today, this magnificent piece that he has put together. A great amount of time, work, and effort goes into this, ladies and gentlemen. It's not like, it's like the streaming. It's remarkable to discover. I asked folks, how long do you think it actually takes to put together a stream, to prep before, after the actual streaming? Everybody is unbelievably way under. And that is just the honest. I mean, if you were to ask me, how long does it take to do something that I'm not doing, I would be way off as well. So it's understandable. I know very little about making music, very little indeed. But I have spoken to a lot of musicians, and from their input, I have an idea. So this is not, Luke doesn't just sit down, Fornull doesn't just sit down, Johnny Scythe, Traversing the Divide, Hiereth, all of these folks, they don't just sit down and then magically 15 minutes later, hour later, or something like that, there it is, a magnificent piece. No, this is going over a piece and over it and over it to finally hone it, to get it to where they feel comfortable with it, to get it to a point where it will reach out to the folks out in the wider sphere of our white race and have meaning for them. So we don't just receive these things in service to white well-being and then say, that was great, and turn around and walk away. No, we give back in any way that we can. And one of the best, most meaningful ways to give back is a small financial thank you. If you are so poor that you can't give a small financial thank you, then, and again, none of these people are expecting you, not I, not anyone is expecting you to make them rich. But there's nothing like saying, I appreciate you enough that I'm willing to pull some money out of my pocket and pass it on to you. That is a way to say thank you, that we do not shun here or mock here or what have you. There is no support shaming. Those who contribute absolutely deserve to be appreciated for their contributions. So a big thank you to Luke Mason, Imminent Rain, for this third edition magnificent piece. He's making an entire album telling the story of Prometheus Rising, which this year as well, 2020 is going to be a big year, will be made available to you in a standalone version. There'll be some additional information, so it won't, in that book, it won't just be what is in Born Guilty right now. He's telling the story of Prometheus Rising in music, and just stunning. I would like to see artists tell that story in paintings, in digital graphics, in making statues or whatever. I still want to see this in poetry. I would like to see more of these sorts of things. This is the kind of material that is going to last the long haul. And so we need to be doing this sort of thing. We need to be supporting our artists. I understand the other night we had over there on Jeff Winston's White Art Collective with Mama. I didn't even realize this was going on. I was working all night long to make sure that that digital copy was formatted properly for all of you and not just a mess on your Kindles and Kindle download apps. But I stayed up all night. I didn't realize. So that's what I was doing New Year's Eve. I didn't realize that over there at White Art Collective, they had a slew of all-stars that ran through the show over 3+ hours. What a magnificent group. Even the great Seaver Hamlin appeared on that stream, and I'm going to be listening to this first chance I get. Of course, I will be simultaneously working because there isn't any cloned Jasons out there, and I don't have any twins to do the work for me. But what I want to do is I wanted to say that. I wanted to wish you all a happy new year, a happy new decade. I'm very excited about this. We're going to be doing some great things. And I wanted to answer some of these questions that you all were asking during the PWR stream that I didn't want to interrupt on. And I spoke a little bit too during the in the side chat and the live chat. So if you all would like to pose those again, what you were interested in and what you thought you might like to hear my views on. And let me just also say, God bless the hell out of all of you who are so dedicated to going free, to doing something real, for God's sakes, something tangible. The differences that we are making in people's lives is absolutely enormous. Just another slew of messages have come in since the last going free of people saying, this has changed in my life and I've changed this in another person's life. This is real, for God's sake. So thank you so much. But all of these folks who are so dedicated to going free, and they're hearing things that they know are not really worth their time and their effort. Things like all of this forecasting of politics and just drowning in politics, or holding your nose and walking, through the sewer treatment plant of politics and what will happen and what's next and who will be the person who wins in this state and who will be the person who wins in that state. And who was it that said, absolutely apropos, that this is just like sports ball? That is exactly what it is. It is sports ball for people who think they're better than those who are watching and talking endlessly about sports ball. There's no difference there. No difference. So very well said. That is my opinion on it. Thank you all who are so dedicated to going free, that you were hearing these things and you were saying, hey, let's hear what No White Guilt has to say on these issues, because you know that the stuff that I'm going to say is the stuff that we're talking about here is the stuff that is actually doing good for people. When has talking about politics done anybody any good? I worked in the nerve center on Capitol Hill for the conservative movement. The heads, all of them, of the entire conservative movement showed up every Wednesday to get their marching orders there. I know what I'm talking about, not only from the outside, but from the inside. It has never helped anybody. So it is a perfect waste of your time. It is. Now I understand there, you can put on a great show with people arguing politics. That's something different. That's totally something different when you put on a show and you have somebody saying something about this politics and somebody saying the antithetical position, and they get a little row going. That can be entertaining to watch, and you can indulge if that's your thing. But when it comes down to where we're going to actually do something, it is not getting somebody elected to office, right? Because we don't have magical powers. Okay, so it's this idea that we got politicians because magic. Well, piss right off. In 2020, we're getting real. We're taking off the childish. I mean, we're gonna go ahead and push the crib out of the room. We're gonna push out the little mobile hanging down from the ceiling. We're gonna tear that down. I'm gonna throw that out of the room. So these people that continue to indulge these things, not for just of entertainment, but because they think it's substance, we're just gonna have to deal with them as adults deal. And if they can't accept it as an adult, then they just have to go back to the nursery room. We'll just push them out in the hall so they're out of the way. So thank you all who were reaching out. So there were some other questions. There were some questions about the something we've been talking about lately when it comes to the mating game and women choosing and men choosing and incels. And So I didn't get an opportunity. I had a bunch of questions from folks about my thoughts on the incels. And this is making fun of people who are unable to find and this word celibacy is only talking about sex. So this is not in this regard. So this is not the full story. These men, whether they're young, whether they're old, wherever they are, whether they're in between, these men are not only going without sex, they're going without intimacy in its broader sense. They're going about life without compassion from a loved one. They're going about life without a partner. They're going without a life to the other side of the puzzle of what it means to be a human being and a productive member of our community. Again, with the caveat that you don't have to get married to be a whole human being. There are individuals that this is different for. But for the majority, this is the norm, and that is what they need in their life. Now, are there people out there, are there guys out there who are just wretches? They would have been wretches no matter what, no matter if women were doing the right thing when it came to choosing mates on their level, interviewing them, and determining whether or not they would make a perfect husband, father, etc. Are there guys that would be wretched in those environments too? Are there guys that would still have neck beards and sit in the basement and eat Cheetos or whatever it is, all of these stereotypes? Sure. But for God's sakes, how could you distinguish them from the masses of guys that are put into that state because they know they have no chance, and then they end up chasing after MILFs or whatever they end up chasing after these older women that have been riding the carousel. This is a phenomenon. Why is there a phenomenon of young men trying to have sex with women who are twice their age and who are single at the bar? Because they can't find love and compassion and consideration in their age group. They would much rather, there's nothing about these older women that they want over the women who are their age. What possibly is there more to a woman who is looking for sex with a man half her age at the bar, other than the possibility of more sexually transmittable diseases? They're not going after these women because this is some kind of a wonderful thing. This is not a thing in society because this is what young men want. They just want the oldest, the most wrinkled, the most used up, the most, whatever woman that they can find at the pub down the street. No, they're there with those women because the women who are firm and in their prime and etc. are spending the majority, and this is not every woman, again, with the making sure that we give the hues of difference here. Not everybody fits in. We're talking about the broad categories. And we got to talk about, because we are sensible, rational adults, we talk about the broad categories rather than the exceptions. That's what anti-whites do. So they're going after these women and or just sitting in the basement and getting fat or whatever because they have no chance with the women who are on par with them in looks, because these ladies are giving, the majority of these ladies are giving all of their time to guys who are much better looking than them. And that, by the way, so I disagree potentially. I mean, Mark and I didn't really get a chance to suss it out exactly what he was saying. So I imagine that if we got an opportunity to suss it out, our positions would probably either be very similar, identical, or not very far apart. But superficially, there's disagreement there to say generally I will agree that not just generally, my position is that both men and women have to improve themselves. They both have things to do better. But I embrace the reality that there's nothing a young man or an old man or a middle-aged man could do to get particularly a young man, because we're talking about young women in their sexual prime, which is not the prime of their wisdom or intellect or education or any of these other things, or love or artistic talents. It's just, we're talking about the physical beauty, sexual prime, fertility. That's what we're talking about when we're talking about this. There is nothing that these guys can do, not lifting weights, not driving speed boats, not driving race cars, not any of these things. There's not wielding katana ninja swords, not using nunchucks, not being great at the range. There's nothing they can do short of a face transplant that is going to make them as desirable and get the attention of these guys who the top 10% of pretty faces in each woman's circle that she can reach. So yes, he could work out, he could do all of these things, try hard at work, and then yes, he could go out and get a woman who is, if he is X on a scale from 1 to 10, get a woman that's X minus 3 or X minus 2. Whereas if he hadn't done these things, it would have been like X minus 4 of whatever he is. So be it. Big deal. I mean, is that really going to drive him out of the basement? Is that really going to drive him? Hell no. So if there is a disagreement there, then so be it. Both men and women have to improve, but women control who decides to get to date, who decides to get to have sex, who decides to get to reproduce, because when men decide, we charge them with rape. Now, Richard's position, I firmly disagree with, that we want the men whom women are choosing is the ones we want to reproduce. Bullshit. Absolute bullshit. They are not choosing. Why would, I don't even understand this from Richard. Why would he believe that women have some sort of innate, immaculate, infallible barometer for what are the best men that we need to continue and to strengthen and embolden Western civilization? Where did they receive the education? What decisions are they making today? We can see from the decisions they're making today, they're not choosing the most heroic men in their environments. They're not choosing the most intelligent men in their environments. They're not even choosing the most physically fit. There's no way that they can look at the men of their age group and say which one is healthier, aside from excluding those who are obviously very unhealthy. For Christ's sake, what a dumbass position. They are choosing the guys who have the least moral backbone and who have the prettiest faces. How is that going to make for a better Western civilization? It is not. They are choosing men who will bed them down while bedding down other women who are better looking and worse looking than they are at the same time, and who will use them for now and then dump them as soon as they get tired, and another one comes along who might be better, who might be worse, but she's strange, as the disgusting saying is used by such individuals. It's some strange. And so that's what they're doing. This is what you want to bequeath? A bunch of immoral, pretty-faced losers for Western civilization. That is somehow going to, men who leave their children, men who mistreat, men who are willing to say anything about the current dogma. They'll go along with anything if it means that they can get you on your back, rather than men who say, no, I'm going to reject you. I don't care how good looking you are if you're anti-white, rather than men with integrity. So this is what you all wanted to hear me say on PWR. And regrettably, there's only so many minutes in 2 hours, and we have so many questions, and we've got a behind the scenes chat about, all of the super chats coming in that Mark has to. So I'm not going to disrupt the show, and especially when everything has to be so hurried, and I can't, I'd have to just try to make my points in 2 sentences and say them as quickly as I can. They would be misunderstood. They'd be taken out of context. The positions that I would be making would be strawmanned by accident by the others on the panel, because they wouldn't know the full totality of what I was saying unless they got lucky in those 2 sentences and just landed on the totality. So those are the 2 of the things that I know a number of you, quite a few of you, wanted to hear from me about the questions that were being discussed on PWR today. And if there's anything else, I will happily speak to those things now. Don't intend to be around for much longer. I will take a look at your super chats if anybody sent any. And it's great to see you all here. It's great to be in another 2020. And I will speak to tag me on No White Guilt channel. And I will be able, as No White Guilt, I will be able to see it. Tag me as Guarding with NWG on Guarding with NWG channel. I will be able to see it. If you have super chatted, and you know what I didn't do because I got started right away, but I'll go ahead and do it anyhow, even though it's late, is I will open up, or can I? Can I see it from here? Yes, I believe I can. Or maybe I can't. We'll see. Yes.
Or maybe I can't.
There we go. So entropy is up. So you can super chat, Cash App, the familiar alternative, YouTube, Entropy now, and Ko-fi are all options for you. Let's make sure that we go absolutely wild. I just see the great Roy Danton over here on the gardening channel. Great to see you. There was a PWR a little earlier today, and there were some fireworks. People liked the show. Maybe they liked it because I wasn't speaking. So be it. Different, the saying, different handguns for different hands. Everybody has a different opinion. Down home here, well, down home is a saying to mean down south. As Southerners, down home here, we also say that opinions are like certain orifices. I won't use the word, and everybody has one. So let's see, traversing the divide. Syrup, the great Syrup is here. Great to see you here. So Syrup, great to see Syrup, and great to see Spartan Warrior Queen is here. Of course, Seaver is or was here. He was certainly with us earlier when we were playing the magnificent piece from Luke Mason. And let me take a quick run through to see if and what I have missed, and I will get to all of your statements, questions, and whatever you have left. And then I'm going to check left and I'm going to check out because I've got to get right back to work for White Wellbeing. Happy New Year and happy new decade to everybody with their well wishes to me and to the team of Going Free and Serving White Wellbeing. So many wonderful folks. We continue to grow while other people out there are mired in a lot of these old ways. A lot of these old strategies. We are just blowing right past. Talk about having the wind at our backs in what we're doing here for White Wellbeing. It is one positive message after another. I could not be happier about it, and it always is such a blessing, especially when the anti-whites continue every other day at minimum throw another roadblock in front of the work that we are doing, and we don't bother talking about them, Jared, George, and I, because what's the use? I mean, in rare case we bring them up, but otherwise, what's the use? So let's see here. Looks like we have Mrs. Jess Horst super chatted $19.99 this first day of 2020, a brand new decade. Thank you very much. A great participant in the community, always speaking up, and has had many children. Thank you for being here and your kind words and your investment in White Wellbeing. White Healing, what a great name. Super chatted $5. Thank you so much, White Healing, for those $5. Syrup over here as well, super chatting £5. Thank you, my good friend, doing double duty, modding and super chatting, and writing here. After this show is done, subscribe to Hireth Music channel and listen to the White Art Collective 2020 NYE Party. Jason is admired by Jason is admired by all speakers. Well, thank you very much. I am a big admirer of all of the names that I saw, and I doubt I saw them all. There were so many. I thought when I saw those names up on the screen, for me, I guess it was like what the average vague out there, where they just have no sense. And who are some of these? I don't follow I call them pretenders, the actors. I don't follow and the regime's musicians, and I don't follow them. But just for your sake and for the sake of what I'm trying to share, just fill in the name of some celebrities, some musicians, pretenders, whatever they might be, and they're all on one screen together. And the average vague they would just be like awestruck. Oh my God, they're all of these people are together. That's how it hit me last night when I saw, regrettably, after it was over, all of these magnificent people on this stream together. What a great idea, bringing all of them together. Such a heroic thing. And so I'm a big admirer of all of those folks. And thank you, Syrup, for sharing that and for those words. We're a big admirer of Syrup and all the dedication that he has given to the service of White Wellbeing and moderating. And remember, folks, people are contributing. They are donating their time and their efforts and intelligence and talents. And the Syrup is a great example of that. So we really thank you at the beginning of 2020. And we have a super chat from Lutz Zero, $9.99. Thank you very much. Don't think I've seen you before, or at least I don't think I've seen that avatar. At least the name I'm not sure. But is that avatar new for the Texas lawman in the church the other day? Great to see your live stream, brother. I usually miss them because I go to bed so early. May your family be blessed, and may our people endure. Indeed. Thank you so much for that and those kind words. And I reflect the same thing back at you. I assume you are across the pond. So a big reflection of those same words and sentiments from across the pond here in the once great state of Virginia. Mother, or maybe I'll go ahead and say father to, what is it, 7 presidents, and how many of the notable people who are the founders and creators of the United States of America. What an absolute shame and disgrace that this beloved state, for which my family in ample sum bled deeply, what an absolute disgrace and shame that it has been handed over by anti-white elites to anti-white, non-white border crossers who now vote all anti-white and are radically changing the environment here in Virginia. We're going to see some big changes in 2020. But remember, folks, every time you think that this is terrible, the saying about looking for the silver lining. This is something that is trite and inane when trite and inane people say it. But when we talk about finding what's positive, what can work for us, it is not trite and inane. When the anti-whites at the state level here in Virginia begin to do things that are absolutely egregious and damaging to the founding stock of this nation, Western kind, when they begin doing that, that makes those folks that much more inclined to rescind their loyalty from these misbegotten institutions who are absolutely sickened and puking with anti-whites in charge and in power, and they begin looking elsewhere. They will look to places like us. They will begin going free, getting their electronic versions, and our numbers will grow exponentially. And then all of these little fantasies that these people, I don't deny that they have good motivations and that their heart is, many or most of them, heart's in the right place. But all of these silly ideas of, climbing up into the clubhouse and, plotting out the grand plans, you and your 3 or 4 or 7 or whatever it is, friends, all of those silly things that can't be done in those environments. A lot of that opportunity becomes possible, or a lot of those possibilities become genuine opportunities for us when we magnify our growth, when we magnify our numbers, when we magnify the caliber of folks who come to the call, come to the silver trumpets. Remember what I said over 2 years ago now, those who have been here this long, remember what I said. Victory will be felt for us. The recapturing, and what is victory? The recapturing of our destiny. Victory for us will be felt by everyone when the anti-white stands in front of that boardroom table in private and public institutions and looks out over the sea of people and has to wonder about the white people in the room. Which of those folks might be going free? Which of those folks, how many of them might be going free? Then they all will know it's already over for the anti-whites. Their control of our destiny has come to its end. That is when they will have reached, among other things, that horizon where no longer are their unity, or the appearance of unity, or at least unity of action. No longer is it guaranteed at that event horizon. So a great many opportunities come up, and we look forward to take advantage of them moving forward. We have the great Roy Danton over here on Entropy, super chatting $50. Thank you, my dear friend, a great participant. We're going to be talking about Roy's interaction this coming Sunday, and another participant in the community's interaction online, exercising their skills of going free, which is what we all should be doing every opportunity we have, so that we become better advocates for white well-being in our lives. You at the beginning, you will get few who will come over to going free by going out and talking to these people. But the more you do it, like anything, the better you will get, the quicker you will get at these replies, the sharper you will be, and the more folks you will bring into our sphere. Roy Danton, super chatting $50, doing what's right in these efforts to practice his newfound skills, and writing here, Happy New Year 2020, happy new decade. And considering how much we've achieved in 2019 alone, also happy new century. Well said, brother. To the year of the first Western sunrise and a bright future. Amen to that. Thank you for those great words, the great super chat, and all that you are doing to improve yourself and to help those around you go free. Let me take a quick look over here. Jada Lee writes, Richard Spencer was horrible optics. I'm glad you didn't intercede too much, as I couldn't fathom anything nice to say to his arguments. Well, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts there, Jada, and for those wonderful things that you shared the other night, that you found your husband on whitedate.net, and you found whitedate.net on, no, wait, is it? Yes, net, on my website, nowhiteguilt.org. And you are going free. He is going free, and you all will eventually be having children. A blessed thing. Another series of victories and gifts for us. Genuine victories and gifts. What a joke it was when Trump and all of these people who put their faith in politics were saying things like, oh, we're just so tired of winning. Do you remember these idiots saying this? We're winning so much. We're tired of winning. And they weren't winning anything. We are the ones who are actually winning. We are the ones who are actually gaining ground in the world. We are the ones who are actually doing something. And remember, we could have 10,000 here right now. We could have 10,000 with us watching live right now, and it would still be a tiny, cozy little group compared to the group that we are eventually going to have here in service to white well-being. So remember these days, cherish them. You'll be able to look back and say, when there are 10, 20 million people, when there are more going free in service to white well-being, when the anti-white elites are truly fretting over the power that we are accumulating, you'll be able to say, I was there when there were, I don't know, what is it right now? 200 or something, or if that, watching in total. You'll be able to say that you were there. You were one of the people in the beginning. Yonash is here. Great to see you. And Jonah's here. Greek tribesman, Western sunrise. Yes, indeed. Great to see you. And let's see here. I don't recall, regrettably, I don't recall some of the questions, some of the things that folks wanted me to speak to during that stream were not many people, it was just like, please speak to this or please speak to that. So there were more than a handful of things. And if your particular topic was only suggested once or twice, I don't recall what it was at the moment. So I won't be able to speak to it right now unless you ask it again. You're here or somebody else does. Nullus writes, without a strong moral and cultural foundation, as well as a sense of identity, politicking is nothing more than horse trading. Very well written. Indeed, that is the case, my friend. It is nothing but superficialities that are utterly meaningless. TeddyNet News says, nice blue tie. Well, thank you so much. I thought it would be apropos to begin this new decade with a proper blue power tie, and I think this one absolutely suits the decade. Hats off to our women, writes Seth. They're doing an invaluable service. Amen to that. We have the best women in service to white well-being over here, do we not? No, that is not an exaggeration. That is not, and they talked, I guess this was another thing somebody asked me, just reminded me to speak to. The Nick Fuentes, this rejection and this mocking of women, and Richard saying that, and Mark agreeing that it was kind of like this schoolboy opinion about women. I don't know exactly what this is. I don't get a chance to really watch him. I have people send me little clips about something. He says this or he says that, so I don't really know how he handles women. But the joke that I was going to make was that, and it's something that I asked Richard about early because I wanted to get his opinion on it to see exactly where he was. And I am of the opinion that we are not going to, I just know it's not just opinion. We are not going to build anything substantive and real on this, I don't know, this what was the word? Oh, psych politicking. I mean, this attitude that everything is a joke, and you can say you can say take a position, and then the next moment say, oh, you disavow, it's just a joke now. That is not a path to success. We absolutely embrace satire. We absolutely embrace frolicking, joking, ribaldry. We do it. You all who watch, you hear it from us. I think an appropriate amount. So we're absolutely not opposed to that. And we even have our members making comedy skits. So we're absolutely not opposed to that. But this is a serious thing. Our children are being led to hate themselves. Millions upon hundreds of millions of our children are being taught, infected with this poison, this anti-white poison, to hate themselves, to hate our people. They are being, all history is being white erased. They're being taught a brand new anti-white history of the world. These are extraordinarily dangerous times. We cannot have the position, or we cannot be of the mindset that everything is a goddamn joke, that every position we can take is a snarky comment, is a flippant comment, a wisecracking comment that we can then go back and say, oh, it's just a joke, just kidding, psych, didn't mean it, whatever it is. So perhaps there needs to be a name to really mock this, when this is the basis of what a group of people are endeavoring to do. Now, is this, or endeavoring as their vehicle to supposedly do good for white well-being, for Western kind, for our nations? Now, I don't know if this is part and parcel of people who call themselves Groypers. I don't follow them, so I don't know exactly what they're doing. I did say during the show that my position is, when it comes to the people, whether they're calling themselves the name Groyper or not, but if they're going, I totally support going to these conferences, going to these universities, asking tough questions that demonstrate that the anti-whites on the right do not care for Western kind, that they are perfectly fine. In fact, they embrace getting rid of Western kind, as long as, you know, our ideas survive, as though that's somehow moral. So I absolutely firmly endorse that. My position has always been that I firmly endorse that. And I would like people who are, for whatever number of reasons, people like Nick, who have become, I don't know, the poobahs of the Groyper movement, the leaders or generals of the Groyper movement, whoever these folks are, Nick and the rest, I hope to God that they will admonish those who are heeding what they have to say, to not ask questions that will ruin their lives, that will make it impossible for them to get a job, that will make it impossible for them to hold a job, that will make it impossible for them to start a family. If folks who went into the alt-right had heeded the things that I said back then, we wouldn't have ended up with people committing suicide. We wouldn't have ended up with people all losing their jobs. We wouldn't have ended up with folks who were turning against the alt-right, turning against not just the alt-right, but rather the entire white positive sphere, and telling people, oh, just reject it and move out with your camper into the hills and just hide for the rest of your life. And whatever else they're going to do out there, the goats and the cows or whatever. We wouldn't have had that happening. People adopted bad advice, and that's their fault. It's the fault of the person giving the advice that's bad, but it's also the person of an adult taking the advice. And if it's a young person, then they're learning, and they have to take it upon themselves that it's their fault if they took bad advice. But if they had listened to what I was sharing, what others were sharing in service to white well-being, they wouldn't have gone down those paths. So I'm saying the same thing now about those who are calling themselves Groypers, or who might call themselves Groypers, but who are going up and asking these questions. Do not ruin your life for the adoration of, I'm not going to say Nick is going to celebrate you if you do something wildly hilarious. I don't know what he's doing. I hope he doesn't. And I suspect he's a smart guy from what I can tell. So I suspect that he's not going to applaud someone who ruins their life, because he'll know the ramifications. He'll know that that will encourage others to do the same things. So I just hope that these folks will lead these young people, lead older people, whoever are participating, in a direction that will be good for Western kind and will not destroy the lives of these individuals. We don't need any more people going to jail, losing their jobs, being investigated, being put on no-fly lists, no self-defense lists, red flag laws being used against them because they asked an unnecessary question, because you're going to get a laugh. You know, you're going to get people saying, well, that was the most edgy question anybody has ever asked. It's not worth it. So you can help us. You can help our people by asking appropriate questions. That was my view on this. And I don't know, again, if somebody wants to enlighten me, Nick himself, if he would like to enlighten me, he could come on tap and we could talk about it. I don't know if what they're doing is totally based in this like psych politicking. They're for this psych, for that psych. And when it comes to the women and whether or not he is denouncing them all or denouncing most of them, or saying that women, I mean, I was told, I don't know if this is true or not, that he says that women should not be participating in any way. They're good women are defined as thus. It's like a category. I'm not saying he's saying this. He can correct me or somebody else can. But this is what I was told. And that if they are trying to, say, write poetry or make music or deliver insight, philosophical insight, or anything like this, that they're somehow just the merchant right. They're just out there for the dollars. We can tell when somebody's out there for the dollars. They show up out of nowhere. They're dilettantish in every way. The money pours in, and they say the things that are closest to what we're saying at first, and then they steadily move away from that position to gain a bigger and bigger audience. Their clothes get better. Their camera suddenly is much better. Their hair is much better. And then they're taking trips to X, Y, or Z. You know who these people are. That is not the kind of women that we have in Service to White Wellbeing. They are the true heroes of our womanhood today, and we need more women like that emulating these women. God bless every single one of them. There's nothing paternalistic about that. Genuine respect and gratitude for them. I'm not in any way trying to get on the good side. As you all know, I am very willing to insult the hell out of women if it will help vector them in a healthy direction. So that was my thought there. I don't know if anybody else has any other positions, thoughts, corrections, and questions about what happened on PWR, the discussion there. Nella says, I bought my Kindle version. Thank you. You're most welcome. Thank you for purchasing and acquiring the Kindle version and sharing that with others so they can see that good people like yourself feel that it is valuable enough to have a look and download that as quickly as you can. As I say, the first 299 downloads are going to be $2.99, the reduced price. So let's jump down. I'll see if there are any other super chats, and then we are going to be, yep, it's just past 5:15. Let me jump over here and see if there are any super chats over here. I don't want to miss anything that you all are saying. I will get on D Live to make sure to open that chest for all those Lino Point hungry individuals who I know are just eagerly waiting for the chest to be opened. And thank you to everybody who gave Lino points that will in short order be returned to you if it lets me. A couple of times it has not allowed me to do so, and still waiting for some things to come through. Let's hope that or somebody can help me remember to unlock or unload or the chest on D Live. So let me see over here. What else we have? We have over on Cash App, Laura, the dear Laura, wonderful friend, a magnificent, talk about a regal and wonderful woman in the white positive sphere. My God, this woman doing double duty, a good friend to yours truly. And she just super chatted $75. Thank you, my dear friend, Laura. And a very happy new year, new decade to you. And as Roy would say, new century. Thank you so much for that. It will, being close to me, that every one of those dollars will go to productive things. So thank you so much. Now, look, I want to speak to these because we had Paul, the party animal, super chat. Here we have on Ko-fi $3 and asking, sorry, I asked you this a long time ago, but I never got to listen to your answer. What are some very casual, tame, inoffensive comments, questions I could ask a girl on a first date to let her know I support white well-being and gauge if she's worth pursuing, i.e. not too anti-white? Well, precisely. Paul has obviously heard me talk about this, and I really should dedicate a show to this. Dedicate one show for the angle from the guy and dedicate one show for the angle from the woman. And a great way, because this is what you're going to come across, and we simply don't have a time to go into this into deep detail. So if anybody knows who Paul is, if he's not here, please let him know that I'm addressing this at the end of this, going free stream. I don't want him to miss the info if he's not still here. So you are going to be faced almost assuredly with potential partners who are not going free. The purpose in that scenario, the objective in that scenario, is to ascertain how anti-white are they. Now, if they are rabidly anti-white, you discover they are rabidly anti-white. I went on a date once where the young woman with this woman, where the young woman started talking to the non-white waiter, and she could not stop being elated and interested in his country of origin and what everything was like there, and how wonderful it is to have him here, and how wonderful it will be for him to bring his family here and to bring their traditions here, and just on and on and on. Needless to say, if you are out on a first date and somebody starts talking like that, man or woman, you go ahead and politely, finish the meal, treat the person like a human being. You have to look at yourself in the mirror. So be the kind of person that you want to be, and that you see yourself being, and never talk to them again. I mean, that's just, you can say at the end of that meal, if they are the kind of person who could take the letdown, just say, look, this is not going to work. We have some radically different views. There's no reason in going into it. So I could just tell we have some very different political views, and it doesn't matter how good looking you are. We are going our different ways. So what you're going to have to do, though, in most scenarios, is you're going to have to gauge. You don't want to hammer the person over the head right away with, tell me about your socio-political views. What do you think about white erasure? Have you heard that term before? And what do you think about? Don't do that. You want to address these, especially when you're a guy speaking to a woman. You don't want her to perceive that you are, or to conclude erroneously that you are overly zealous, or you are going to lead her into an environment where she's going to be in danger because she has a view that is so radically different from society. She has a heretical view relative to anti-whiteism. So you don't want to do that, certainly right away. But you can make any number of little comments, and then, I've said it this way before, you want to just walk away from the comment like you're not very interested. You're just putting it out there. And that, for example, can be done so easily with commercials. You can so easily, or an ad in a magazine, or it can be an advertisement or a painting in the wall at the restaurant or wherever you are. Choose places where you can talk, by the way. Don't go to places, don't do the movie thing. You can't, unless you're going to be talking afterward or before. And it can be productive if you're going to go to a movie, then to go someplace and talk, because then there are going to be things in the movie that are anti-white and you can address them. and in a small way, especially in the beginning. So you can say, and this is just one example, you could say something about a commercial, how you noticed how the white couples are always made to look stupid. This is so annoying. You know, everywhere you look, the white couples are in these commercials, these advertisements are made to look stupid. This society's nuts. And then observe how it lands on her, but start talking about something unrelated, like the band that your music style you both like, or the musicians that you were both previously discussing or discussing earlier in the night, or something of this nature. If she is really unsettled by you caring about how the white couple looked, you're going to be able to tell. If that's something that is not unsettling to her, or if it's something she agrees with, you are very easily going to be able to tell. That is a way to ascertain very quickly whether or not she is rabidly anti-white. Because if she's rabidly anti-white, she's going to say, well, here's a great example. I was on a different date. And I said, you know, I was in a restaurant with this woman in another state, and the staff there was all 100% non-white, and it wasn't just like a ethnic non-white restaurant where that would be normal, but of course we couldn't do it. I mean, even if you have your Polish restaurant, you're still getting sued if you only hire white people. So, but non-whites, of course, can do it for the double standard. So I pointed out, I said, you know, everybody here this is not a particular theme of a restaurant, but every single person who is working here is non-white. How is it that they don't have a single white employee? And she said, in response to that, it's sort of like what are you getting at with this? Immediately, like, why would they hire white people? Why would the well-being of white people matter? And that was it. I didn't even have to hear what she said next. I knew right then and there, this woman was not acceptable. Didn't matter what she looked like. She was not acceptable. And then, of course, she confirmed right afterwards. She said what she thinks is disgusting, that they have to serve us. Needless to say, that was the end of my interest in that woman. So let's see what else we have here. Thank you, Paul, very much for that. And I hope I was helpful there. I don't think I've missed any other earlier ones. No, that looks good over here on Ko-fi. I'll look back at your comments on entropy. I should be able to see the YouTube super chats there as well. I'll look on the live streams, and then we're going to be checking out. It's almost 5:30. Okay, I am clean on both, empty on both Ko-fi and Cash App. And so let me check the familiar alternative. All right, on the familiar alternative, we have Seeing Red. Thank you so much, Seeing Red. Great to see you again. $5. Writing, hail, brother. The best wishes of health and prosperity to all members of the white positive community. Amen. You've got a great heart, brother. Thank you for those good words and that super chat. So we are empty on all of those now. Let's jump over here and look at entropy. Robert Brown super chatting on YouTube, $4.99. It's not enough to be right. We must also be persuasive. And these streams are helping me in that regard. Thanks. Exactly, Robert. Very well stated. And thank you for that super chat. We can't just have facts. We can't just have these, as you say, being right. Just to easily sum it up, we also have to persuade. And that is a skill. That is something that I developed going free specifically to help folks to be able to do, is to be persuasive, to help others come over. And that is why it is a curative contagion. Thank you very much for that. White Healing, $5. Thank you so much. Again, seeing you over here on YouTube, writing, glad I could be here since mid-2018. Well, thank you so much for that. And you'll definitely be able to look back and say you were there in the beginning. On the questions widget on entropy, the Red Baron, can you define white to me? I've heard a quote of Holy European descent, but I've seen blonde, blue eyes, Algerians, green-eyed, Syrians. Please don't call me anti-white instead of answering. Well, I guess you've had others call you anti-white, perhaps for asking the question. The answer is actually quite simple about who is white, is that we don't need to decide. It is superlative. Time and conflict will decide for us. No one is going to identify as white in a world that is declaring war on Western kind. No one will identify as white who isn't actually white. They will all flee as things get hotter and worse for us who are white and inescapably so. These people who maybe could get away with claiming to be non-white, they will. So we don't have to sectarianize ourselves by saying, well, and first of all, it's impossible because it's the spectrum of color, or the difference between night and day as the sun sets here. Tell me exactly where night begins and day ends. Tell me exactly where one color on the spectrum ends and the other color on the spectrum begins. And on top of that, we can say that Western kind is a extremely varied people. There is obviously something genetically that we can say by way of the skull, we can say by way of DNA that is Western kind, but there is no reason to try to reduce this to something that it cannot be reduced to. Just as you cannot tell me exactly where day ends and night begins, or where blue ends and then green begins. What we will do is find out who is inescapably white, because time itself, the march and progress of time and conflict, will make all of these decisions for us. So thank you for that question and allowing me to visit it again for those who have struggled with the who's white question. Of course, I'm not saying that this is your position, Red Baron, but we have anti-whites who will say this all the time, who's white, to try to disrupt your position, to try to delegitimize your argument. You could just say, of course, we have MCs for this, which are meme curatives, and you can, and go free. You can take a look and you can adopt and use the things that we have here, or modify and use something that is quite similar given your situation. But you can go ahead and say, okay, well, then the Western kind is a complete construct, and therefore we are going to survive, and this is the construct that we are going to protect. And then you have won that argument that the anti-white just leveled at you. So this argument only works, this anti-white argument only works on those who have tried to say that Western kind, or the white race, is specifically these countries at this point in history, or what have you, where they try to break it down in some arbitrary sense. Every sense is going to be arbitrary. Again, when we recapture our destiny, we are going to discover that there are branches of Western kind that we don't even see or have never seen at life on planet Earth. They are within us, and we will be able to tease these things out. Beautiful new expressions of who and what we are. The green eyes will be greener, the blue eyes will be bluer, the brown eyes will be browner. It will all be richer than it is right now once we recapture our destiny. And there is no reason to try to funnel this down in a way that we can be toppled over by some 50 IQ'd genderless anti-white by saying, well, there is no real white race, and so therefore you have nothing to defend. But of course, then there is a Jewish race, and of course there's a black race, and of course there are all these other things that are legitimate, but not a white one. So ignore these people. Jonas says, ahoy. Happy New Year and decade over here. So thank you, my good friend. Let me distribute this chest, this rewards, to all of the good folks over here on the DLive channel. Is my good friend Ray, or his wife, here. I don't know if they're here today, but I normally see them. So if they see this afterward, big hello to Ray and Heidi. And everyone have fun with your Lino points. Let me see real quickly if there are any more, and I've got to roll, any more questions or comments or statements to answer. We're going to have a great 2020, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a great week, a great month. We're going to head into this with full steam ahead. We have down home, we say the pedal is to the metal. The other saying is we are putting the coal to it. Hearkening back to the steam-driven engines, Greek tribesman says, are most whites that are in race-mixed relationships guilted into doing it? By far and large. There certainly are white people who have genuinely fallen in love with non-white people. That's going to happen. That happens. It has happened. It's happening, and it will happen. But you cannot be a white person today and escape MP infection. So that means that you are suffering. If you're infected with mean pathogens, you are suffering grievously with white noir. Now, you are coping in various ways. If it's not, if you're getting by in life, it's kind of like a functional alcoholic. If you're getting by, if you're still earning a good salary, or you're able to make your doctor's appointment, or, these sorts of things, you're coping with it. But you're nonetheless crippled by the white noir. It is absolutely inconceivable to imagine that white noir causing white people to hate our people, hate our past, therefore hate ourselves because we're a member of it. And so many of us openly admitting, even if they're not saying, they're openly admitting unintentionally in so many words that they want to escape who and what we are. They worship and practice other bio-spiritual projections, other cultures of other races around the world. They'll go out and date them. We even had on this show, we're not going to bring up, or not going free, but on one of my videos, an individual who dated non-white people and who said that they didn't date them because of hatred for our people or history, or an endeavor to escape it. And then about 20, 30 minutes later in the conversation, I probed what did you feel when you were young, and this age, hearkening back to the same age range that this individual was saying, no, it didn't affect me whatsoever when that person was dating all non-white people. And I went back and I said, were you white guilted then? Did you feel proud about who we were as a people? Did you feel glorious to be a Westman, member of Western kind? No, hated it, wanted to get away from it. I was sickened all the time. I hated everything about us. So an unintentional admission that the focus, and maybe this person didn't realize that they were focusing solely on non-white people to escape being white. But that is indeed, just like a psychologist or a priest or what have you, uncovering a person's motivations, and then the epiphany hits them. Oh my God, that is what motivated me. That's what was happening there. So it is impossible to imagine a scenario, even ones where, as we say, they might be a falling in love situation, where these folks are not motivated to some greater or lesser degree to escape being a member of Western kind. Maybe in those cases where they fall in love, and then somewhere subconsciously they're thinking, what a relief. I don't have to be, I'm getting rid of some of this white guilt. I'm leaving this awful people behind. What a relief it is. That's going on in their heads. I mean, let's be frank. For the vast majority of them, though, it is to escape. Just like we talked about the little girl on the train in the UK, and the other one with the story on the video. God, there've been so many now. It's so sad. These little children, and most of them little girls, little white girls sharing about how much they hate themselves for being white, willing to articulate it. Many of them are going to end up escaping being white by taking nothing but non-white boyfriends, having sex with nothing but non-white men, talking about how much better non-white people are culturally in all of these different ways. That's what they're going to be doing. So yes, indeed, That is the reason why most of them end up going that direction. William is here. Great to see you writing. No White Guilt is the man. Thank you. So are you. SSII super chatting $14.88. Thank you, my dear friend, writing protect our people. You have no better role. Amen to that. Precisely. Thank you. Eminent Rain as well. Super chat. And talk about all the quadruple duty this guy is doing. $9.99. Prometheus is rising, he writes. Gorthang will fall, indeed. Well written. Andy writes here, all the dang-doos will be dern-dude. Promethean hails, y'all, and Happy New Year. That, of course, is an inside joke. If you want to know the dang-doos and dern-dude, you have to head over there to Jeff White Art Collective to find out about that inside joke. The rest of the stuff that Eminent Rain is talking about here is in Prometheus Rising, the antagonist Gorthang. You can learn much about him in that book and the parallels to our real world. And you'll find that so much of it is allegorical. I mean, that is the way that it was written, of course. We have here somebody with symbols I certainly can't pronounce. Can watch the Twitter DM and see if you have a link to the entire interview. I guess it's, can you watch the Twitter DM? Yes, I will take a look, brother. Or sister, I apologize. I just don't know those symbols and what that means. Annika O'Brien is here. Good to see you. Yonash here saying ahoy. And I'm going to jump. White student transmission, presenting a simple question may also work. I'd ask, I was talking about taking out a date and ascertaining where they are. Are you white positive or looking for white positive dating? Where that would definitely get their attention. Are you white positive? I could imagine a young lady saying, what the hell is that? What is white positive? Or I don't know. Let us know if you try that, folks. Spencer's thoughts. Fixing a woman's anti-white attitude is a lot easier when you're both good looking and understanding the MPs. I found it relatively easy lately, even if I don't consider a second date. Absolutely well spoken. Thank you for that. You can once, and the other important thing about when you are helping someone to go free, remember that you are the message. You are the message. Be known as the person who is always moving toward improvement. Not one of these people who are constantly reading self-help books, constantly going to self-help seminars. The losers attend those things all the time. Don't be that. You are a healthy, normal person who is literate, numerate. You are endeavoring to be the best you can be. You know about more topics than just the socio-political ones here. You're willing to talk about them and are amiable that way. But if you are known as the guy or woman who is always saying that we should do the moral thing, always saying that we should do the ethical thing, always presenting yourself, you do not have to have money. I don't have money. You don't have to be rich. Be cleanly dressed, be smartly, comb your hair, whatever it might be. Or if you shave your head, make sure it's nicely trimmed. Be that man or woman, because you are the message as you're helping folks to go free. They're going to look at you and they're going to say, what does going free mean? It's in this person right here. If you are in the process of going from a really lamentable state to something much better, make sure you share that. Say, hey, you know what? I used to be 300 pounds or whatever it was, and I'm down to 275 already, and I'm doing this, that, and the other thing. I'm going this new direction. Hell no, it has nothing to do with a New Year's resolution. It's going free, my friend. Nothing else works like this. We had somebody who wrote the other day, I got to get out of here, so much to do. We had somebody who wrote the other day that things like the Alcoholics Anonymous and these narcotics programs, they don't work, but going free does for him. Think about that. Think about that. So, because it's real, he wrote, because it's something that's substantive, because it understands. So just, you can find that comment. You can see for yourself. Dale Jones super chatting here, $2. Thank you so much for the support. And Simon JJ writing here, a show with hints about dealing with potential partners would be great. Yes, it would be. I'm going to do that. Sandrophen is here. In Scandinavia, the saying is, an opinion is like the behind It's parted in two. That's good. Yes. I guess it's a little raunchier down south. Spencer's thoughts. Writing, looking sharp tonight. Glad to see the stream is going on. Best wishes to you and the entire community in 2020. Thank you. Seaver Hamlin says, I'll try to something. Don't know what it was. And we're about to leave. If anybody has super chatted and I missed it, we will get it this coming Sunday. Watchrider says, Nick just wants a traditional wife. That's what I've heard him say on the show. Okay, then. Thank you for the correction. All right, let's see. William Runner, I just get anything of real value. I just get anything of real value from Richard Spencer. He's very wordy, but not much substance there at all. I don't even know what his plan would be. Well, I think Mark, thank you for that statement. I think Mark really challenged him on the, we need to take power. Okay. So yeah, do not think about taking power. I guess that's great. Thank you for bringing that up as we're checking out here. Tapping out, as we say on tap. Do not bother yourself with thoughts about, okay, we've got to take power. How do we do that? Because there are no answers. Put this in front of yourself. How are you going to help yourself to go free of the MPs you have? How are you going to be a better you? How are you going to help your friends and family around you go free? Do that, and taking power will take care of itself. Like in business, if you provide the good product, the good service, the good support, the income, the success will take care of itself. Do that, ladies and gentlemen, and we won't have to worry about how we take power. What does that even mean? What matters is recapturing our destiny in whatever form that takes. Taking power, that sounds like something you could be brought up on charges on. Taking power of what? SSII, super chatting with $14.88. We are everywhere. You might not see us, but we are right there with you. Amen, good friend. We are indeed, and we are growing rapidly. Thank you very much for the kind super chat. Syrup writing, will you be saying the famous line, does that make sense? And then slurping loudly from your NWG coffee mug. Well, I guess I can. Yes, I go for it tonight. It can become the catchphrase. Does that make sense? And then the Daniel writing here. Daniel writing with $2. Thank you very much. We must do save our youth from the anti-whites. It is a must do. Thank you so much for that kind super chat and those heroic words. It's our youth that we really have to save. We have to prevent them from being harmed any longer. So if you super chatted and I missed it, I will make sure to get it next Sunday. So make sure you are back this coming Sunday. It'll be almost assuredly at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If it's late for you, stay up all night. Andre is here. Farm Master is here. Victory or Valhalla. What a great name that is. That is spectacular. Indeed. Victory or Valhalla. Justice for all. The Pepper. So many great people. It's great to see you all. It's wonderful to be with you all again. 5:30 this coming Sunday. We'll be back, of course, on tomorrow with Jared George Tap. I think it's 4 or 5. We're with White Rabbit Radio. It's going to be a magnificent time. We're going to be talking about things like lexicon dialectics, these things that are important, changing the minds of those who are around us, having the right positive energy, being accepting of people's faults and flaws and backgrounds, allowing people to move to a better person, having objectives of who we think we should be, of who we know a white man should be, a white woman should be, a white family should be, and then allowing all of us, since we're humans, since we're fallible, to fall somewhere short of that, as long as we move toward that goal, allowing people to have their privacy in their home, to do weird things or whatever that is, as long as the public square stays a place that is wholesome and productive, constructive for our people, for white well-being, and never again is a place where wretchedness and debauchery and sickness can walk through the streets, poisoning our people and our masses and bringing down our civilization. God bless all of you for being here in service to white well-being, and I'll be looking for all of you tomorrow and on Sunday. Let's go free, ladies and gentlemen.